I know. I know. Despite the fact that it's got something.
Oh, they give us
Hot in here right about now.
You did see a flash, right?
Yeah, I'll be able to recognize it.
This is great, right? This show like changed everything for me. But I actually wrote most of it, so that's promising for me.
I tried to.
Be shorter than Bob Lynch. Oh, you weren't here last year. Be shorter than Bob Lynch was last year.
If you start to drone on, we'll just.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
No drone. No droning allowed, damn it.
Our fourth inductee this evening is Jim Joseph, a class of '91. During Jim's career at Marist, he performed in 7 shows, stage managed 1, directed 1, produced 3, served as vice president of MCCTA, and was its most successful recruiter of new freshmen. That's what he said. Just as he is now as our alumni ringleader on Facebook and as a Marist Theater ambassador to all of you. In 1995, Jim started a 12-and-a-half-year career at the New Victory Theater in New York City as their first house manager. Over the years, he created the New Vic Usher Corps, a groundbreaking youth development program where over 400 teenagers trained as ushers and participated in workshops. Jim is now the manager of the Samuel Friedman Theater, the Broadway home of the Tony Award-winning Manhattan Theater Club. When one thinks of theater at Marist, they think of Jim Joseph. Jim Joseph, class of '91.
Here we are. Thank you, Romy. All right, I'm going to start this off with a little call and response for those of you who know me very well. Dearly beloved, thank you. Not just any life, but a life of the theater. Born in the Bronx, but raised on this very stage. I came to Marist College to play football and to study radio broadcasting. It's kind of ironic because I have had the pleasure of speaking from the stage many times since graduation. And it is ironic because the very first class I took at Marist College was public speaking, where I met my roommate, Tom Hanna, right, who was actually the coach of the women's volleyball team to go support women's Red Foxes volleyball. Marist was an interesting place, an interesting time in my life. The very first day of freshman year, I go to the freshman welcome mixer down in the cafeteria. Coming from the city, hanging out in the clubs, aspiring radio DJ, knowing my music. I get down to the cafeteria for my first college party, and I hear music I wasn't familiar to hearing at parties. And I'll never forget hearing Billy Idol, Moni Moni, and with the whole chorus that's not in the song, and going, what have I gotten myself into? And then I looked across the cafeteria, and I saw a young lady sitting there with the same look on her face that was on mine. And I walked over and introduced myself. And Rosanna, you remember, I saw you covering your face. And we started up a conversation. And right after that, her roommate came over, who was probably the perkiest, most upbeat, friendliest person I had ever met in my life, who was just so excited to be there. And her name was Jen Russell. And history was made. Now, like I said, I had no intention of stepping foot on the stage, but Rosanna was hell-bent on it. She was determined when she found that I had done theater in high school. She was determined to drag me along and get me on stage. And Jen as well had built sets, in high school and had stage managed shows. So they were holding an audition workshop for the musical. The director of the musical was doing an audition workshop and encouraged anyone who was interested in auditioning to come down and participate in the workshop. Rosanna dragged me to the audition workshop. The only people at this workshop were me and Rosanna. And she gave us sides from West Side Story. Oddly enough, I looked at them and said, sides? I need no sides. And we did this workshop, and even after that, I still did an audition. Rosanna got into the show. Jen was all excited to be on the crew and help build the sets. And I just sort of hung out. I knew the choreographer, Donna. Was Donna here? I should know she was here earlier. You know, I sort of helped her out, and next thing you know, they were like, well, we need some guys to dance on stage. Well, how many guys do you have dancing on stage? None of them could dance. Okay, well, get me a costume, put me on stage. Can you do this part as well? Okay, I'm not gonna say no. And thus began my performing career on the stage. Now, concurrently, we were excited to be part of this whole new, group of people as the freshmen. And we went to an MCCTA general meeting. Peter Kusnell, who was the president of MCCTA our freshman year, was all excited, and we showed up at the general meeting, and no one else was there. It was me, Rosanna, Jen, Cindy. There was no one else there, and I remember us talking about it, and Jen and I had a conversation going, this isn't right. When we're seniors, and when we're running this club, things are gonna be different. We're gonna have meetings, and we're gonna participate, and we're gonna get all these things together. She had a plan, and it was way beyond, what I'd ever envisioned. So, first semester finishes. I go home for Christmas break. And even though I've done a show, and I was playing football and doing all that stuff, I wasn't quite sure if Marist was for me. And as I usually do when I have a crisis of faith, I call up my buddy, E.Caban, who's right there, one of my best friends since 5th grade, and we spent all night in his mother's living room talking about our artistic futures and careers. At the time, he was at Queensborough Community College and wanted to make movies, even though he was a fine arts major. And we concocted this great plan that we were going to transfer from our school, we were going to go to NYU, I was going to take over the radio station, he was going to take over Tisch, and we're going to run the world. We're still planning on running the world, but the transferring didn't happen. I got sucked again into MCCTA, helping out in moving bookcases during the production of Harvey, and then I was asked to audition for Willy Wonka and to co-choreograph Willy Wonka with Rosanna. I got cast as a fat German kid who drowns in a chocolate river. Got introduced to Marist night and liquid lunch, and needless to say, I wasn't leaving Marist. I continue to believe that my professional career after Marist would be in broadcasting, would be in radio. But as years went on, I knew I spent more and more time here within these four walls, doing shows. I started, I stage managed a show, and I took Dean's production class, which had culminated in the workshop and the Festival of One Acts. And I remember talking to Dean going, who's producing it? And he said, well, that wasn't one of the roles. We had done everything. And I said, I want to produce this. I've never produced it. It's something I want to try to do. And Dean, in his infinite wisdom, said yes and let me do it. And as he did for many years while we were students, he just let us do it. At the time, we were like, does Dean trust us? Does Dean like us? Why is he never around? And remember, we had a conversation later with Jen as well, and he said, I trusted you. I knew you could do it. You didn't need my help. And I'm forever grateful that that's a teaching lesson that has stayed with me for many, many years. And I will always remember you and thank you for that, Dean. So, did festival, did that, senior year rolls around. Jen is president of MCCTA, and I'm vice president, and we decided, no, we're going to round up the troops. It's not just going to be about the shows. It's going to be about the club. It's going to be about, the family, the institution of MCCTA. And we started something then, and from what I understand, it's still in place today. If there are any current undergrads here, you can confirm this for me. What time do general membership meetings start? What time? Anybody here? What was that? 7:23. Thank you. But 23 minutes after the hour, correct? Thank you. Yeah, it was me and Jen's idea to make sure that people knew what time it was at. And people thought we were nuts, so we had this whole theater filled, thinking it would start at 8:15, 8 o'clock. No, 8:23, and we waited till 8:23, and it worked. And we got people here, and we got people involved in not just what part they're going to do on stage. And, they got involved in the club and everything that we did as a whole. And when I heard that that was still going on, I got kind of smiled inside, and I said, Jen, you were right again, and I appreciated that. So at the end of my senior year, I went to the career festival, career fair they always have in Canton. And at this point, I get it. What am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do? And Bob Lynch pulls me aside and goes, there's a seminar upstairs you need to attend. I'm like, what is it? Arts administration. I'm like, Bob, what the heck is arts administration? And he says to me, it's what you've been doing at MCCTA for the past 4 years. You need to go. So I go upstairs and I hear a lecture from a woman who's the director of marketing at the Marist Theater. And it changed my life because I realized this is a job. People get paid to do what I was doing as extracurricular activities. Wow. And Bob changed my life in that moment. He opened that door. And I realized this is a viable career option. And I graduated, and I realized I was working for a radio station. I was doing overnights at a top 40 radio station. I realized it wasn't for me. A life in the theater was what was for me. And thank God my folks were on vacation when I went on an interview and I accepted an internship making $100 a week with an off-Broadway producer. And I'll never forget the look on my father's face when I told him, I got a job. It's great, fantastic. Work for a producer, it's great, fantastic. What you making? $100 a week. And in Dad's infinite wisdom, he looked at me, took a moment. That's what you want to do. And he let me do it, which is, I'll always, always remember that. In May of 1993, we all had to grow up. We lost our angel, we lost our hero. It was a rough time. I went through a change as well where I actually was at a crossroads in my life as well. And I had lost my job, actually. I was in between jobs. It was a lot going on. And I can honestly say that Marist College saved my life. The love and welcoming that we got, myself, Chuck Lubender, and Don Tunney, we basically moved back up here 1 year after graduating, and basically muscled our way back into the lives of all the undergrads here. And we were welcomed with open arms. And I'll never forget that. Mike, Katie, Shelly, Joe, DJ, Jen, Rich, Nicole, you guys saved our lives. And I'll always, always appreciate that. You know, I've been very fortunate that I've spanned generations here. And I've always been able to pop up here. In '97, I came back and I directed an undergraduate production of Moon Over Buffalo. And I met another wonderful generation of students and who are friends to this day. And it opened me up to the possibilities of what I can do as an artist as well. And also as a teacher. I took that job more than anything else because I wanted to create a situation for the actors who were in the show to stretch and to learn and to really get a sense of who they could be as artists. And I was very proud of the work I did with them. I'm very proud of those relationships still last to this day. I'm humbled by my friends who have turned out today, my family, from Miami, from Cleveland. You know, it's a pretty amazing and it's humbling. Like I said, I've been up here many times and I've spoken many times, but it was never about me. It was always about Jen, which I will do any day of the week. So it's humbling, and I thank you. And I thank you for all the love and support that you've given me. Mrs. Dressel, Jen's mom, was supposed to be here, but the last minute she couldn't. She's under a flood watch, unfortunately. But she wanted me to share her love and support for everybody here. You know, everyone's given her as well. And she's forever in my heart. Said, Mom is here. You know, all those Facebook pictures that I posted up, all those shows, Mom took them all, she categorized them, those are all her albums. I'm grateful for that. My brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, my nephew, they're here as well. I'm so happy that they could experience the love that I felt here. I wish Dad was here. He would be so happy. He loved making big CD for everybody. You know, the only person who can tell Bob Lynch, stop building, you need to eat. And he did. You know. All right, PTW's in the house. Right? The fellows are here. Okay, enough sappiness. Okay, on this stage, where I dry humped Yolanda Urbana and smoked weed, moved bookcases for an invisible rabbit, drowned in a chocolate river, bought $100 worth of roses, diagnosed a little boy with a broken heart, got drunk at the Last Supper, recited nursery rhymes with my best friend forever. By the way, Steve, I was Tweedledee, you were Tweedledum. The picture's proven. Okay? Where I said the F word, I had Ralph Crampton kill Ed Norton and chop his body into little pieces and be served at a Chinese restaurant. Represented the conscience of thieves and danced a sexy duet on stage. All that happened on the stage. And in closing, my friend Jim Steinmeier, who I adore, and I'm so honored to be on the stage with him right now, quoted John Houseman. So I'm going to flip the script a little bit, and I've got a little quote here from Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of In the Heights. This was something he wrote for the closing of this past year's Tony Awards. And in the final analysis, what survives tonight? Theater, because it's what we live. We're changing some lives tonight. And theater thrives because we live to give it, so to speak. This ain't reality TV. This is 8 shows a week. Every chorus member that you ever see tapping had to make miracles happen for a chance to see you clapping and applauding in the audience. What next? Who knows? Anything goes. Now go see a Broadway show. Thank you very much. I love you.